This is a quick talk about looting in ZvZs as well as Regears. So Albion is a full loot PvP game. When you kill people, which is in the game in general, but especially in ZvZ, their loot is going to drop on the ground. If you're going to loot, you need to be smart about it. Say we have a 50v50. Your side engages into the enemy, you kill 5 people, their bodies are now on the floor ready to be looted. Great, right? Wrong. Remember the cadence of ZvZ? There are now 45 people with all of their cooldowns up, and you've sprinted into range for them. You and your greedy little friends have now clumped yourselves onto the enemy bodies trying to scrape out your share of the loot. The enemy counter engages onto you and obliterates the clump you are standing in, adding your bodies to the pile of loot. We've seen this situation play out over and over again in Albion, especially over there in Red Tree. The easiest solution is just don't loot. If you're going to do it, you need to 1. Do it when the enemy doesn't have cooldowns. 2. Do it fast. And 3. Not fuck over your Zerg by doing it. Make sure you're still using your abilities and contributing to the fight. Because if you lose the fight, chances are you lose your loot when you get chased down and killed. When your cooldowns are down, make sure the enemy isn't about to engage onto you. Click the body, grab 1 to 2 things, then move on. It should take you less than a second. Good guilds regularly watch the replays of their fights, and it's super obvious when someone is digging through bodies instead of fighting. It's a really good way to get yourself kicked from your guild. There's also loot loggers, so that will like easily display more. I don't know, easily. It's a more convenient way of looking at who looted what in a fight. And yeah, it's just a good way to get yourself kicked. Now, having said that, ZvZ is expensive. You can easily go through 2 to 3 sets in a single fight and end up losing the fight, coming away with no loot. In order to mitigate this cost on their players, most ZvZ guilds offer Regears if you meet like a certain IP and bring their recommended builds. You show them your death recap somehow, and they'll provide some or all of your setback. Now, regearing a Zerg, as you can imagine, is super expensive. A wiped 50-man Zerg with sets ranging from 500k to a mil or 3 to 4 mil if they're wearing A1 is an easy like 40 to 50 mil silver down the drain. To offset the cost, most of these guilds enforce mandatory loot donations. Donations is kind of a weird word if it's mandatory, but mandatory loot deposits. So really, it kind of ends up as a loot redistribution system. Not everyone is going to get loot, but a regear system makes sure that they can still afford to play the game. I don't think anyone does a full regear with mounts and potions and whatnot, so it still costs money to ZvZ, but it certainly helps getting your setback. Mandating loot donation also seeks to discourage looting in combat, since you're going to have to donate it anyways. Personally, I just avoid looting altogether, but I also care about the fights and not the loot.